สวัสดีครับ I'm Point from ค้นพบ Let me begin by asking you this today. Bring to mind somebody who you feel has hurt you or wronged you in some way, shape, or form in the past. This could be anybody from a boss, a colleague, coworker, even a friend or a family member, perhaps a parent or a sibling, who you feel has somehow betrayed your trust, stolen something from you, done something wrong to you, or perhaps broken your heart. Now, how does this person, when you bring them to mind, cause you to feel? Do you feel perhaps still some sense of anger or upset or feeling even hate perhaps? Or perhaps you feel that this person has damaged you in some way. For example, in a sense of now you no longer are able to trust somebody because that person betrayed you, and you feel that this has caused you to lose faith in future relationships. Now, I understand that this can be very difficult, and of course, many unfortunate things happen in life. We cannot always control the behavior of other people. We cannot always control external situations, obviously. So we are not responsible for that. And I know that the past can indeed be very, very hurtful and very even traumatic. But what we can always control is how we choose to respond to a situation or choose to look at the events that happened in the past, the experiences, how we choose to relate from it. We can always learn from the past to become a better, stronger person. In this sense, when you think about that person who has wronged you or betrayed your trust, broken your heart, stolen from you, hurt you or your family in some way, shape, or form, you might even feel that that action is completely unforgivable, and I totally understand. But would it be fair to say that in that sense, in at least some sense, you would have to agree with me, right? That if you still feel that way today, especially if this event already passed long ago, perhaps many months, many years, then you're still giving that person power to control your life today. Because you feel some sense of hurt from it, a sense of victimization perhaps. That person, in this sense, continues to have power over you. Right? And you deserve to be free from this. So then the next question is, how can we learn from the past? How can we truly forgive and let go in order to learn from the past and change it to wisdom? First of all, let's continue with a small thought experiment. Imagine a couple who gets married and, newlyweds, right? They always think that they're the happiest person, luckiest couple on the planet. Then time goes by. Unfortunately, disputes happen, arguments happen, the relationship breaks down, they have a divorce. Of course, in that day, for that person, it's going to be a very, very tough day, difficult time indeed. But let's say time goes by. A few more years pass. That person who just got out of the divorce now enters into a new romantic relationship. And this time it just feels right. They get married again, right? They get married again. And now that person looking back to the first marriage thinks to himself or herself, well, now when I look back, I can understand that that experience was important for me to be led to meeting my current wife or my current husband today. And for that, I'm grateful. I wouldn't trade anything for that. It made me become a stronger person, a better person. It taught me a lot. So you can notice here that this person, looking at the same situation at different periods in time, completely learned to relate to it in a different way. understandably too. And understandably, uh, in the first few weeks, months, and even years after the first divorce, that person could perhaps feel disempowered, feel wronged in life, feel sad, feel hopeless even, or even feel helpless. But eventually that shifted, and now that person looks to their past and it humbles them because they feel that they needed to go through that series of events to learn the life lessons they needed to meet the person who's finally right for them. So, my question to you is, do you notice how the exact same situation is looked at in a completely different perspective throughout time? We're talking about the same situation here. We're talking about the first divorce, but yet they have a completely different perspective on it. Obviously, the first perspective, recently after divorce, leads that person to feel very, very bad about life, perhaps even hopeless, as I stated. Perhaps they lose faith in relationships. But the second scenario, once they finally meet somebody new, they look back and it becomes, we could say, wisdom. That person has learned to truly forgive the past, let go, and in that sense, they have now learned to relate to the past in a way where they embrace it, you see. And in order for us to continue to really grow in life, we have to embrace every aspect of who we are, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you agree? If you continue to look at your past and feel a sense of hurt or anger, even hatred, or any negative set of emotions because somebody had wronged you in some way, shape, or form, then can you see how this is now dragging you down? It's going to limit you. It's going to hurt your ability to generate something new and more beautiful in the future. Correct? So the next question is, how do we begin to learn to relate to the past in a more helpful way? In another sense, we could say that when we look in the past with a sense of regret, perhaps, a sense of anger or hatred, in one sense, we are denying a part of who we are, denying a part of our history, denying a part of our experiences in life. Again, we can't choose what happens in life because there's so many things beyond our control. However, what we can always choose is how we respond to a situation or look at a situation. That is always within our choice, that is always within our power. And we can learn to look at a situation in a much more helpful, empowering way. And wouldn't it be so amazing if you were to be able to imagine yourself looking back at something which you perhaps used to look and feel a sense of hurt or victimization by, but now you learn to look at it and feel complete mastery over because you have learned to let go and forgive, and that leads you to feel in control of your life. Because now that that experience has become wisdom, you look at it and you feel to yourself, hey, unfortunate things happen in life, but in bad there is still good. And now that I look about it, now that I think about it, I feel completely empowered in my life because if a similar situation were to happen again, I would know how to handle it. I would know how to cope with it. And that means I have power. I have true autonomy. I have true agency. I have true power and control over my life. And wouldn't you say that's a much better place to be? Part of life, you see, in this sense, is about learning to embrace and grow. Life will have challenges. We will have misfortunes. I don't think there's anybody, any single person on this earth who has had everything go the way they had exactly hoped for, right? So we have to sooner or later learn how to deal with life's challenges and life's punches. So when you begin to embrace your past, it allows you to look at it with a sense of empowerment, because you no longer deny that aspect of your past anymore. You no longer deny that aspect of experience anymore. Once you've truly learned to forgive and let go, for example, then the past no longer hurts you. For example, somebody betrayed you, somebody broke your heart. And understandably, it was very, very hurtful. And understandably, that could perhaps have affected you in a way where it led you to lose trust and faith in other people. But once you learn to heal from that, once you learn to overcome that, wouldn't you say that you're much better off, much stronger? And you dare to trust again, you dare to love again. And if you're able to do that, power now lies back in your hands. Right? I want you to think about this thought for a second. Because you see, it's easy to love some aspect of life, or it's easy to love somebody when they are behaving in the way that we like, when the situation is going the way that we want, you see? But in that sense, the true test of our love would be to, can you still accept? Can you still, in some sense, appreciate or accept unconditionally, or even love a situation or somebody, even when they're not going the way you want, or they're not behaving in the way that you would hope for or that you would like? Right? It's easy to love something when it's going the way you want. The real test is to maintain that sense of love or positive outlook, even though the situation has not gone the way you would hope for. And somebody who has learned to do that, we could say, is a complete badass. He's nothing in this world can fuck with that person, right? Can mess with that person, because they essentially learn to develop a belief in themselves where no matter what happens, they can handle it. When people are busy judging, being angry, being hateful, they are able to be calm, patient, understanding, kind, and compassionate, and forgiving. And that's where true power lies. So when we begin to look at our past, which you may have one day felt hurt by or haunted by, but now you begin to embrace it, and it begins to become wisdom, because it becomes a lesson that you have truly learned to overcome and master. And I guarantee you, that's a much more empowering place to be, much more better place to be. And now the past will, in that sense, very unlikely repeat itself, because you're no longer being suggested to think and perceive a situation in a similar way. You're no longer looking at something with a sense of fear. You're no longer being gripped by fear. For example, somebody broke your heart, and if you let that experience hurt you and haunt you, then how can you expect to develop a new, trusting, loving relationship when you're still looking at new potential relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, or anything with a sense of fear that history will repeat itself, right? And the irony is that is going to be the very reason why history will repeat itself, you see? So let the past turn to your greatest teacher. Let the past turn to wisdom. And I encourage you to question how you look at some past event, experience, situation, relationship, or dealing with somebody who you feel has wronged you. How can you look at that and learn from it and truly be free from it? Allow that experience to be the defining experience that defines your character, right? That would make you proud of who you have become, because you have learned from the past misfortunes, and that has made you become a stronger, better, more kind, understanding, compassionate, and patient person today. Okay, I hope this video was valuable for you. This gets us to hopefully think about how we can look at things in a more helpful way. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Again, this is not to say that the past never happened. This is not to downplay the wrongdoings of the past. Of course not. But this is to get us to recognize that no matter what happens in our past, or in our current present moment, or in the future, we always have the power in how we choose to respond and look at something. That is always in our control. Okay? I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. สวัสดีครับ